Jaguars, baby. And we gotta keep it hype.
Keep it hype.
Represent it for life. You know how we do it. Woo! Hey! Jacksonville Jags. We don't mean to brag, but when we on the field, we got it in the bag. Jacksonville Jags. You know how we ball. Best believe it. Got the people screaming out, Duval. Jacksonville Jags. We don't mean to brag, but when we on the field, we got it in the bag. Jacksonville Jags. You know how we ball. Best believe it. Got the people screaming out, Duval. Okay, Jacksonville Jaguars. Too much for your crew to handle.
This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
And what is going on, everybody? Different week, different feeling, guys. It is officially game week for your Jacksonville Jaguars, your favorite team in the NFL right here in Northeast Florida. And like always, guys, this stream is powered by BetUS. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in some of the co-hosts. We got my guy from Gin Jag, Jordan DeLugo. What's up, Jordan?
Cheers, y'all. Happy game day eve to the NFL. Yes, the Jaguars do not play till Sunday. We got football tomorrow night, Friday night, college football Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Fired up for it. 5 straight days of real football.
Dude, it is the best time of the year, and I'm absolutely here for it. And we also got coming in here. I think he should be just as excited. We have Jason from Jaguars United. What up, Jason?
What's up, boys? I was watching Jordan DeLugo's video on top 10 most important Jags, and I was like, I can't wait to find one of these that I disagree with that I can call him out on during the show. And after him talking about it, my cat messing up my mic. After him talking about it, I couldn't find a single thing to disagree with. So I'm kind of pissed at you to start off, Jordan. I couldn't find a single one that wasn't justified. So I'm mad at you going into this.
We'll figure something out.
Okay.
Tonight.
All right. Cam Robinson, I feel like you could have maybe penciled in Cam Robinson, but I get your justification.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do something to make Jason angry tonight. Like I said, guys.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And like I said, guys, this stream is powered by BetUS. 125% deposit bonus in the description down below. And we are going to look into the betting lines for this game. You know, about halfway through the show, we'll go ahead and do a little bit of a preview for the upcoming game. So definitely excited for that. Some real football to talk about. And we do have a quick super chat. Damon dropped to $2. Says, good luck Sunday, and let the best team win. So I'm assuming we have a Dolphins fan in the building. So appreciate it. And yeah, I know we're all excited for it. We're all, because me, Jason, and Jordan, we're all content creators. So I know a lot of people ingest football in different ways. Some people are like us, like they follow it all throughout from March to April to May and try to find stuff to talk about in June and July. But some people just come around when the season starts. And no matter what kind of fan you are, I mean, anything's fine. I know with me in college football, I don't follow college football until like the games actually start. And I know that's how some people are with the NFL. So, if you guys are new, if you guys are just coming in now the season started, guys, this is Club Jaguar. We are live here every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. right here on this channel. We're going to keep you guys updated and posted, give you all different kinds of, updates and just everything surrounding your Jacksonville Jaguars when it comes to game recaps and previews. Everything is going to be right here. And we're pumped to have you guys in here. We're pumped to be able to do this for the first time this season. So without further ado, guys, some minor Jaguar news I did want to get into. Now, first of all, the Jaguars did officially announce team captains. The Jaguars have 2 offensive captains with Trevor Lawrence and Evan Ingram. They have 2 defensive captains with Josh Hines-Allen and Foye Oluokun. And then they have punter Logan Cook as the kind of special teams captain. And they usually rotate like one honorary captain each week. They rotate, and this week is going to be Tyson Campbell. Tyson Campbell is from South Florida, so I'm not sure if they're giving him a nod there. I'm not sure if like, hey, you're going to have to be guarding some Tyreek Hill, so let's give you some some confidence out here, and we'll give you the C if you can cover him. So I guess when it comes to the Jaguars captains, Jordan, when you saw this kind of get announced, was any of this surprising to you?
No, perfect list. Yeah. No notes. Trevor Lawrence has to be your captain. He deserves it. He's a quarterback, franchise quarterback, and he carries himself as such, has since his rookie year. Even when there was absolute chaos around him, Trevor Lawrence still carried himself in a composed manner, mouthpiece of the football team, a farce of a quarterback competition to start his career, but he deserved it. Evan Ingram is the hardest working guy in show business, hardest working guy in football. And defensively, Josh Hines Allen, come on. You can't go wrong with him. And then obviously, Foye Oluokun is just – those are both consummate professionals, great football players, great leaders. And Logan Cook, he's the elder statesman of the special teams room. He's been here the longest. And he's one of the best punters in the league, best punter in Jaguars history. You could argue he's one of the best punters in NFL history when you look at his net and his average. So, no notes.
He's also a great third string quarterback as well, right?
Hell of an arm.
True.
He has a really good arm, man. If you guys ever go, because I know a lot of us like to get to the games right when the gates open. Look at Logan Cook and some of the throws that he makes. I mean, he's got an arm, and he did have a completion last year against the New Orleans Saints on a fake punt. But we'll kick it to you, Jason. When you saw these kind of captains get announced, what were your overall thoughts?
I mean, as someone that's in the Ross Madison camp, I was a little pissed. I was a little pissed that my boy didn't get the C, but Logan,
did you lose sleep last night?
Yeah, we were pissed collectively. The camp was collectively pissed, but as the Pro Bowler on the team, and I got to just say, everything else I'm okay with. I get the Logan Cook thing. I'm just glad that Roy Robertson Harris didn't get a captaincy this year. I think will be better with that subtraction this year.
Yeah. So, and one
I
thing
was pissed last year, man. Not necessarily about that. I know Josh Hines Allen did not go to OTAs, voluntary OTAs. That man should be a captain every time he's on the field for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah. And it was also surprising to me because, ever since Evan Ingram got here, he's always been like the first guy out on the practice field. It's crazy that this is actually his first year being a captain because, man, he is like the model of what you want out of one of your players when it comes to just, arriving early and just always showing up and showing out. I mean, his like trajectory on the Jaguars has just like been like sky high. He's incredible, one of only 8 tight ends to ever have over 100 receptions in a year. I hope that the Jaguars really look at him a little bit more in the, in the red zone. Of course, they do have a couple more, big guys in the building like Brian Thomas Jr. And, I'm sure they're going to utilize Gabe Davis a little bit too. But, overall, it didn't really like I remember before it came out, I kind of did in my head, like, who do I think is going to be it? And like, this is honestly my exact list. So nothing really surprised me too much over here. So another thing I kind of wanted to briefly talk about was, and I'm not sure, we discussed this, I think, the very first show on this channel, but the whole play calling thing, they asked Doug Peterson again, like, who's going to be pulling plays, you or Press Taylor? And you could tell he's just like, he is over that question. And he was just like, I haven't made a decision yet. Like, I don't know. And then he goes, you know what? I don't think you guys will ever know who calls plays. Okay. So, Jason, when you hear that, I know we kind of had discussion earlier, but, not everybody's watched all of these shows. I guess overall, when it comes to this, the whole question about play calling, is that something that really moves the needle for you?
No, not for me. And I've talked about this before at length. To me, I don't think there's going to be much of a big difference between Press Taylor and Doug Peterson calling plays. They've been working together for years. Ultimately, Doug Peterson's in the headset. He gets final veto power. He gets to kind of say what to do. He may take over play calls on like 3rd down or 4th down. When the reality of it is like people want to get upset with information that they know nothing about when it comes to who's actually calling plays. Sorry, I'm doing a fantasy draft simultaneously, but I think I can do both at the same time.
You're good, man.
Like, people don't really know like what's happening and like what's happening in the headset. Like, we don't know. Like, the very first year that they were here, like, what was it that we found out after the season that Doug Peterson turned over play calling to Press Taylor in like the second half of games? Like, we didn't know that, right? Like, so we don't know the nuances of what's happening. I know we want to get mad and look for a scapegoat, but I think you're barking up the wrong tree if you're going to look to Press Taylor as the scapegoat, because these guys are in meetings together all day, every day. They have the game plan. They have the play sheet with what plays to call in what situations. Trevor Lawrence even talked about today, and I'm sure Jordan can touch on this, that he has input on what he's comfortable with and what he's not comfortable with. So when you boil it all down, I don't really think play calling with an offensive-minded head coach as Doug Peterson is really that big of a deal when it comes to that type of situation. And in fact, the biggest fallacies we see are when Trevor Lawrence audibles out of the play call. So I think people are getting a little too upset about the play calling. I don't really care. We know Doug Peterson's not going to dismiss Press Taylor or his duties or throw him under the bus. They're ride or die together. So I think Jags fans just need to, I say this to them. They need to find a new angle when it comes to being angry at the team, because I don't think this is one that you're going to gain any ground on.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I think Trevor Lawrence has confidence in Press Taylor. Obviously, Doug Peterson has confidence in Press Taylor. I don't know that it's completely unified within the entire organization that Press Taylor should be calling plays. I think there are certainly some folks within that organization that think it should be Doug Peterson. And start at the top. The owner wants Doug Peterson to be calling plays. Does he really have the insight to have that strong of an opinion? That's debatable. But I know the owner wants Doug Peterson to be calling plays. I think that there might be someone else who is parallel with Doug Peterson on the hierarchy in that building that wants Doug Peterson to be calling plays. And you can read between the lines on who I'm talking about there. So, if it doesn't go well this year and Doug Peterson is not calling plays, which I do believe we will find out whether he's calling plays or not, probably not from his camp, but someone leaked it on Sunday morning of the opening day last year. I don't think it was Doug Peterson talking to Ian Rappaport. Yeah. So I think we'll find out one way or the other. And I just think if I was Doug Peterson, I would at least be saying I'm calling most of the plays.
Yeah, that's
right?
That's what I'm curious about. Like,
I don't know.
Because I know this whole this Press Taylor Doug Peterson thing goes back to the Eagles. I mean,
yeah.
I think it was a final. I don't think it was the reason. It was kind of the final straw of Doug Peterson's final kind of year in Philadelphia. Like, the season had ended and a week or two went by before he left, and it was basically he wanted Press Taylor to be his OC, Howie Roseman, and the owner didn't want that. And he said, you know what, I'm tired of people telling me what to do. I'm out of here. So with this one, it's a situation where I probably have pretty strong opinions maybe in in April, May, June, but now that we're 4 or 5 days away from the first game, let's just see how it works. We're in a situation where it's almost like you gotta just trust in the people that are calling the decisions and making the money to do what they do. I think that Doug Peterson has always been extremely, extremely involved with it on game day. It's not like he's sitting there like Robert Saleh just with his arms crossed. I mean, he has the play sheet in front of him. He has the reading specs on. He's in some kind of communication with the offense. So I think the one big thing is that apparently, as long as it's not raining, Press Taylor will be on the sideline still. So there is a little bit of a weird dynamic there. I don't know. That's what they said, right? As long as it's not raining, he'll be there.
No,
that's not
that was
the
a
quote,
joke.
right?
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Oh, it was a joke? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I read it.
Sideline.
I didn't watch the press conference. I just kind of read people like Jordan about what they put out on Twitter, just because.
Jordan puts out that fake news, so you got to be careful.
It was a joke.
Okay.
He said, unless it's raining, and then he started laughing, and the whole room kind of chuckled.
Okay. I should probably be watching press conferences, but I just don't like coach speak, man. I don't feel like I get much from it. It's like,
That's fair.
Oh yeah, the Dolphins, we got a lot of speed on offense. We're gonna execute a game plan. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. They're gonna tell us what they want to tell us, and that's kind of that. So real quick,
I wanted to say one thing.
Yeah.
You can do the super chat first.
Well, one's a question. So real quick, go ahead and give your thoughts, and then we'll shift.
So I know that there's some people in the chat and in general that really just want to complain about the play calling last year and blame Press Taylor for that. I think there's a few things that really impacted that negatively. The offensive line injuries and just not playing well in general up front on the offensive line. receivers not being able to catch the football, not getting their feet down in bounds. I think that there were so many things stacked up against him. He was basically calling plays like with his hands tied behind his back a little bit. And that's why you saw so much of the screen plays and these annoying types of plays, because they couldn't get anything right. And they just had to get the ball out of Trevor Lawrence's hands quickly at times. And it would not have looked much different if Doug Peterson was the one calling plays last year. And so I think basically, if you want Press to be fired, think about it from that perspective. It would not have been much different if Doug Peterson was the one calling plays.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's exactly where I was. It's like what do we want to call? Like, if you can't run the ball, what are you going to call? You know what I mean? If a bunch of your players are injured, what are you going to call? So it was like I was sitting there last year, and there might have been some design things like I thought maybe you should have thrown the ball toward the middle of the field more, maybe try to utilize a tight end as fullback more. But all of that is more of like I think an offensive design issue than an actual play calling issue. And that's a big thing that Doug is a part of. Like I mean I think Doug is the one that was primarily responsible for not getting the offense back going, because his fingerprints are all over this offense. That's just what it is. So,
and like not only not be able to run the ball, but like how many times was Trevor getting hit like from his blind side,
Yeah.
And so you look at a list like Jordan's top 10 most important players, and you don't even have Cam Robinson on that list. And when we saw all those times, and
how the Jaguars play without him the first 4 weeks last year.
We got
Boom.
Walker Little as the backup, right? But it's, I mean, that might be good in theory, but Trevor Lawrence had like 15 injuries and he got hit from the blind side. So
most of those were when Cam Robinson was playing.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Cam Robinson only played in half the games that last year. So,
yeah, he missed the first 4, right?
Right.
Yeah, he missed
and
the
then
first 4.
Trevor started getting hurt again at the end of the Bengals game.
But what's so funny is like people will be like, "Oh, but look at the Jaguars' record with Cam Robinson in there," and it was like, "Yeah, but
I know he got hurt before New Orleans. Cam was in that game.
Yeah.
Also, let's not forget
in Detroit.
I know this is going way back
in
2022. The play that everybody thought was going to get Trevor Lawrence knocked out of the entire season against the Detroit Lions.
I knew it.
Cam Robinson got whipped by a rookie, James Houston.
Didn't Walker Little like step on his ankle and break it? Like,
well, no,
didn't that happen last year?
He didn't break it. He's good to go. He's good to go.
Yeah, but it is what it is. But
all right, move on to the super chat. Move on to super chat.
I think it's fair to say like neither guy is perfect, but both are pretty adequate at the very least in pass protection.
Yeah, we can agree on that. Okay, so Tay with a $2 super chat, and then they threw in a $5 super chat with a question. How do y'all feel about the Devin Lloyd situation on the depth chart? So what Tay is talking about is like when they put out the Jaguars like final depth chart. Right now it has like Chad Muma or Devin Lloyd, and I'm pretty sure Chad Muma like comes first. So I know it, it's caused a little bit of a stir. So with that, we'll start with Jason. Like, does that make you feel a little bit weird about what the roles are with this team?
I don't really know what to think, and I know it's not a good answer for this forum, but like I really don't know. I saw an interesting interview with Bill Belichick the other day, and they asked him about like preseason, and he said that coaches, in his perspective, take nothing out of preseason as far as like who can play what. He says preseason's just to make sure guys can run out there and they can get through the calls and the huddle and get on the field and the kickoff and special teams. He said there's not as much evaluation that happens in the preseason as fans think. And so that kind of like made me rethink like how much of the Devin Lloyd that we didn't see and the Chad movement that we did see, how much of that was really indicative of what Ryan Nielsen wants to do. And like, is it going to depend on the package? Like, when they say is it going to depend on the package that they're in? And like, if they're in base defense, like Muma's always going to be out there, so he's a starter. And when they're in nickel, Devin Lloyd's always going to be out there. And if they're in nickel, I really don't know. I've gone through this. This was a great question because I really don't know. And until we get out there and with live bullets, I don't even know who they're going to play at safety most of the time. So Ryan Nielsen's kind of playing his cards really close to his chest. And I think it's going to be interesting, and we're going to learn a lot in this Dolphins game, especially because of the way the Dolphins play.
Yeah. What we do know is what the depth chart says. And I did ask Doug Peterson about this today. Doug Peterson said it is a situational basis. What does that tell us? Nothing.
Right.
It tells us that in some situations, they want Devin Lloyd on the field. In other situations, they want Chad Muma on the field. We don't know what those situations are yet until we see it in a live football game, which we will see on Sunday. And it could be a week-to-week thing. It could be matchup to matchup. It could be, do we feel better about Devin Lloyd against this running back, or if he's going to have to get matchup against this tight end, or vice versa? There's so many different ways it could play out.
And I think one thing we'll see in the first 2 weeks, so you play two completely different offenses. You play the Miami Dolphins, who play their game on speed and finesse, and then you have the Browns in week 2, who are like a ground and pound, get physical on you. So I think if there's any indictment on this linebacker situation, I think the first 2 weeks will kind of show you like how you're going to play against a couple of different offenses.
Yeah, and again, I don't think it's just going to be like against this team, it's Chad Muma week. Against this team, it's Devin Lloyd week. I think it's going to be scheme, like matchup and situational based, like Doug Peterson said. Like if we're 3rd down and 4 and we're expecting this type of play, where do we feel more comfortable with one of these guys versus it's 1st and 10, who are we going to have on the field? So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens there. And as Jason said about safety, I do think Antonio Johnson and Andre Sisco are going to be the 2 safeties with Darnell Savage at nickel. Now, when they're not in nickel, will Darnell Savage still be on the field? I think that's a good question. Yeah. And I think he might be. And I think that's going to be situational too.
I mean, so Jordan, you're there more, well, a lot, and a lot more than we are. I was reading today that Devin Lloyd put on 20 pounds and that potentially they could use him more in like pass rush situations. Have you noticed a difference in the way Devin Lloyd looks and maybe how they're using him in camp? Like, what do you think about that scenario?
He is definitely bigger. He is bigger. When you say pass rush, like it's going to be lined up at edge a lot, maybe a little bit. I think he's going to be moving forward a lot. I do not think he's going to be retreating a lot. And so I think that there's going to be situations where he gets blitzed. You saw that in the preseason, actually. I don't remember if it was Atlanta or the week before, but when those starters were out there, I guess it was Atlanta. When those starters were out there, he was in the backfield multiple times when there was sacks and quarterback hits, and he was right there. And so I do think you're going to see him moving forward a lot. I think you're going to see him downhill and sideline to sideline more than anything else moving back. And that could be the situational type of stuff. Maybe they feel a little bit more comfortable with Chad Muma dropping back. I don't know. We're going to find out. But I really do think that Devin Lloyd, as you mentioned, will be pass rushing. Maybe not as an edge rusher, but rushing more often than he did last year.
Yeah, and at this moment, there's a lot of we don't know a lot about the Jaguars defense. When you look at the roster, it's like Darnell Savage is still posted as a safety. Right now Eric Armstead is a defensive end. Right now you have like Chad Muma or a Devin Lloyd, and there's just a whole lot of stuff going on here. Like, who is the 3rd edge rusher? Like, are we going to play Trayvon Walker and Eric Armstead, move him inside a little bit more, and who's gonna be that next pass rusher that comes in there? Abdullah is listed as a linebacker. Is he the Jaguars situational pass rusher? Does Chad Muma get on the field on 3rd down as a linebacker, but Devin Lloyd is in there rushing the passer? Like, it really seems like it's all up in the air right now, and it feels like there's a lot more questions than answers when it feels like we have a good idea of what the Jaguars want to be offensively. It's just, this is what happens when you bring in a whole new defense coordinator and you shift things around the way you did.
I think the good thing is they know what they want to do.
No, I think
Ryan
so
Nielsen is very intentional about everything he does.
I mean, we saw him get rid of a lot of guys that were here, like Christian Braswell. He got rid of guys that we all thought like that were, and he's like, I want my guys. And so I respect that, and like the Garf, I agree with the Garf here.
Yeah, I trust. The Garf says I trust Nielsen to put out the best defense he can. That's kind of where we're at. He brings a cool intensity. I mean, I love Nielsen from what I've seen so far, and having Nielsen in here, it feels like it's going to free up Doug Peterson, because apparently Doug Peterson, one thing later in the year was that apparently he was spending a lot of time with the defense because Mike Caldwell might have been in over his head. So, anything that kind of frees that up to where, I guess Doug Peterson has, maybe not minimal interaction, but the amount of interaction where a Kyle Shanahan or a Sean McVay might have with their defenses, we kind of have something similar over here. So where I want to move to next is, so I did this on the channel the other day, and I usually hate these exercises, so we're not going to do it fully, but I want to kind of divide it by quarters and do kind of like a schedule preview type of thing. So what we'll do here is we'll kind of look at the schedule, and then we'll go by quarters and kind of, I guess, give our record for each quarter, then we can kind of aggregate everything to see where we're at. So we look at the Jaguars schedule: 7 home games, 8 away games, 2 games in London. We play the AFC East, the NFC North. We have a second place schedule, which grants the Jaguars the Raiders, Browns, and Eagles, which is huge because, the first place, if you have a first place schedule, you're going to get the Chiefs and the Ravens instead of that. And even a third place is going to get you the Bengals. So no, that gets you the Steelers actually. So all of the AFC North is pretty tough. Jaguars have 2 prime time games, week 3 at Buffalo, week 9 at Eagles, Monday night and Sunday night matchups. Total records 154 and 135. That's a 53.3% win percentage and 8 games versus playoff teams. So the first quarter, this is how things shake out. The Jaguars play basically 4 playoff teams: at Miami, then versus the Browns, at the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football, then at home against the Houston Texans. So I guess we'll start with you, Jordan. If you were to put on a record, did the Jaguars go 2-2, 3-1? Where are you feeling this first quarter of the schedule at?
I have them at 2-2. I could see them going 3-1. I'd be surprised if they go 1-3.
What about you, Jason?
Before I answer, UCF, did you put this whole graphic together right here? Did you?
I did.
This is excellent. This is why this is why you have the most subscribers. This is why you're where you're at. I mean, this is top tier stuff right here, man.
Thank you.
Jordan and me just clicked join the chat, and you're over here with this background. So thank you.
Dude, you realize how much extensive PowerPoint
I appreciate
stuff
that.
I've done in high school? Okay.
This is good. I'm surprised you moved past that first slide so quickly, because there's probably a ton of research done in that first slide. So it's very humble of you. But
I appreciate it.
yeah, I mean, I agree with Jordan. 2-2, because these are all 4 good teams. I disagree with Jordan where if we went 1-3, I wouldn't be surprised, because I mean, these are 4 playoff teams, and 2 of them went pretty deep in the playoffs. I mean, this is pretty solid. If we do have a bad stretch of 4 games, I think this is it. And I know that's not great for being beginning of the season, but these are some tough teams. Not to mention that
I think there's a harder stretch.
Well, I mean, here's my.
We're going to talk about it.
The problem is that the Bills, who I think might be a game we could get, it's at Buffalo on Monday night, and Dolphins, who one of the 2 teams that were eliminated in the first round, it's at Miami and it's week 1. So I just think things don't really favor us conditionally here. I'll say as a solid answer 2-2, but if we went 1-3, I wouldn't be surprised, but I think we could rebound from this.
Yeah, and I think with this stretch, because like I said, I also have us going 2-2, and I think if you come out 2-2, you're in a good situation. I think that's fair because, man, you got some. We'll talk about the Dolphins a little bit later, but you're playing. We seem to have the Bills number. However, we had the Bills number when we're not playing in Buffalo, and we're not only playing in Buffalo, but we're playing on Monday Night Football. The only good thing about that is it's not Monday Night Football in Week 15 where it's going to be -30 and you got shirtless dudes out there shoveling snow. A different breed than us down here in Florida. But yeah, you have that, and then Houston Texans defending AFC South champions. So, and like I said, it all says it right here: 63.2% win percentage from their 2023 records, which is pretty insane. So.
Yeah, and let's not forget what happened the last time the 2 teams played, Houston and Jacksonville, and I think both teams have gotten better. So that's going to be an awesome divisional matchup.
Oh yeah, it will, because it felt like the first time the Jaguars. And also, guys, this is actually at Houston. I thought I updated it, but apparently I did not. This is actually at Houston, not at home versus Houston. So Yeah, so like 3 away games you have, and I think when you played the Texans the first time, the Jaguars were almost kind of sleeping on them because Texans were 0-2, and the
I know for a
Jaguars,
fact they were
and
on
also
defense. Mike
also
Caldwell played
yeah,
CJ Stroud like a rookie, and he was not playing like a rookie.
and also like I remember I went back and rewatched that game from the next time the Jaguars played, and the amount of like Jaguars were just trying every way they can to give them that game. I mean, from like a bad interception to like a fumble to like a block kick to like a missed kick to the kick return for a touchdown. I mean, it was just a ridiculous series of events there. So
A guy who just got cut.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. But all right, so we'll move on to the second quarter. We have versus the Indianapolis Colts at home, at the Chicago Bears and New England Patriots, but those 2 games are in London, and then at home against the Green Bay Packers. 2023 records here: 29-39, 42.6% win percentage, and you have one playoff team in here, which is the Green Bay Packers. So, with this stretch, I guess we'll start off with you, Jordan. How are you feeling during this stretch of games?
3-1. So that would get them to 5-3 in my book.
Okay.
I think that they're going to have the advantage in London against both of these young football teams, Chicago and New England. I love Caleb Williams. I think that it's possible Caleb Williams puts on a show. I just think traveling to London as a rookie quarterback presents a lot of challenges, and I know that's where Trevor Lawrence got his first win as a Jacksonville Jaguar. But I think the Jaguars are just more prepared for that type of situation. I think they're going to beat the Patriots. I think they're going to beat the Colts. Right now, I would have them going 3-0 in that stretch and then losing to the Packers coming back from London.
So let's hear from you, Jason. How are you feeling throughout this stretch?
I mean, like I said, 1-3 might be likely through the first 4, but I could see this being 4-0. Like I know that for all the reasons that Jordan said, the only thing I may disagree on is with the Packers. And like, I think they're a good team, and they obviously had that late run last year where Jordan Love played well, but there's something about the Packers that I still don't trust yet. I could see with it being a home game in Jacksonville, and also it being probably like the best home game on the schedule, that crowd's going to be pretty electric in Jacksonville. And I think Jordan Love,
There'll be a lot of green in that crowd.
There will be, but it's going to be packed out, and there's going to be a lot of Jags fans there too. And
no doubt.
and I
maybe,
think
maybe there won't be much green after they visit Brazil wearing green. Maybe sorry. Okay. That was probably pretty bad, but go on.
I could see this being 4-0. Could we drop one? Obviously, it's the NFL. But I think if the Jags play their game, there's no reason why we don't beat the Packers at home. And there's no reason why we don't beat the Colts at home. And so I think the London games, for all the reasons Jordan said, but even like those playmakers on the Packers, like I know they played well.
Whoa.
Oh, see, that's why I turned
an Amber Alert.
That's why I turned those off. I don't care if people go missing. I can see him going 4-0.
Is there something you need to tend to, Jordan? Do you need to go out and fight crime?
A missing endangered adult in your area.
Jordan's about to put on his Batman mask, and he's about to go out there and fight evil at night.
That's what we want. Yep.
Just live stream it.
Stick to football.
Just live stream it for us. But yeah, I guess for me, I actually have the Jaguars going 4-0. Like the Jaguars just don't lose to the Colts at home. That's why they're kind of making this a homecoming game. We're in the throwbacks this game. That's why I have Josh Allen over to the right. We're in the throwbacks. The Patriots. I think the Patriots are the one team that's on our schedule that I feel pretty confident is going to be pretty bad. So I think the Jaguars get the W over the Patriots, and also the Bears. The Bears are very young too. But I just think and it was funny. I was trying to, when I was going back on here, I was trying to find like a trend between like how do we start in 2022 and 2023. But we actually had like the reverse situations happen the last like 2 years where start off like 1-2 and 2-1, and then you go through a winning streak and a losing streak, and then we finished great in 2022, and we went down the shitter in 2023. So a little bit different, but I'm gonna have the Jaguars going 4-0. And Jason, you said 4-0, or did you say 3-1?
I said 4-0.
4-0. Okay. Yeah. I'm writing this down, guys. Okay. I'm charting you guys. So I'm going to hold you guys to your numbers. All right. So third quarter, We have week 9 at Eagles on Sunday Night Football. Then we have home against the Vikings in the white helmets. Then at the Detroit Lions. Then the Jaguars play the bye week, and then at home versus the Houston Texans. So pretty tough stretch here. 40-28. These teams are 58.8% win percentage. 3 playoff teams in this mix. So I guess I'll start with this one because I forgot who started last time. But with this one, really, I mean, look, it's cool right now that the Jaguars, we've gone through so long without having a Sunday night game, like a Monday night football game, but then we all of a sudden got them last year. And then the Jaguars missed the playoffs in 2023 and still got a couple of them. I think it just kind of speaks to the star power of Trevor Lawrence. And I think the NFL thinks that the Jaguars will be decent. And of course, they have the Doug Peterson rematch. And unfortunately, Doug Peterson is not very good in his rematches, whether it's against Andy Reid or whether it's against the Eagles, because he hasn't been able to win them. And that's, I mean, you're talking about 2 places to play on primetime games. You might have 2 of the top 5 toughest places in Buffalo and the Eagles. And then at home versus the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota, a lot of people don't really know exactly how good they're going to be. I think they're going to be like a 6, 7, 8 win team.
If that.
We'll be cheering for the Vikings to lose every game because we have their 3rd round pick. Of course, JJ McCarthy is out, and Sam Darnold is their starting quarterback. So he's almost getting like the Marcus Mariota comeback story over there, where just randomly getting a start, kind of like how Marcus Mariota was randomly the starting quarterback of the Falcons. Here, Sam Darnold is for the Vikings. And then at Detroit, last time we played in Detroit, it was really rough for us. And then finally at home against the Houston Texans. So I think the Jaguars go 2-2 down the stretch. I don't know who they beat, but I think we go 2-2. And we'll go to you, Jason.
So yeah, I agree with you. I think we go 2-2. I think this year we actually kind of changed up what happened last year. I know in the first quarter of the season, I had us losing to the Texans, but I think this is the year that we beat the Texans at home. And so that's why I have them slated for a win here. I think the Vikings are even worse than you think, Dalton. I think if they win 3 games, that would be probably on par with what they have. I mean, I like their coach, but I don't trust them at quarterback. I know Jordan Jefferson's good, but I don't have them winning too many games this year. I mean, the Lions and the Eagles, I mean, if this team is what they are and what we think they are, then there's no reason why we can't go into Philly or Detroit and win one of those games. Philly had a disastrous collapse similar to us last year. So they're not riding high either. They're not flying high, maybe I should say. And the Lions are good. I mean, they were really good last year, but can they repeat that? And do people have them figured out? And again, I'm grasping at straws for wins, but these are things that we see happen with the parity in the NFL. So I see no reason why this team, by the time we're in the 3rd quarter, if everyone's healthy and we're clicking, then we can't go 2-2 in this stretch.
Yeah, I have them at 2-2 as well in this stretch. At Philly, I have as a loss. To me, it's not really about Doug going back to Philly. I think the Eagles are similar to the Jaguars, are a fantastic post-hype team this year. They corrected their issues on the offensive side of the ball with offensive play calling with Kellen Moore. They got Vic Fangio on defense. They massively upgraded their secondary. Jalen Carter is going to be on a war path on the interior. And I just think that they have so many unbelievable offensive skill position pieces, a great rushing quarterback who's also accurate with the football, a good leader, a good offensive line still without Jason Kelsey. So I have that as a loss. The Vikings, Trevor Lawrence versus Sam Darnold in Jacksonville. I'm taking Trevor Lawrence. At Detroit, that's just a tough place to play. The Lions are very good at home. And then I have the Jaguars beating the Texans in Jacksonville to get 2-2 in this stretch. I believe that's 7-5 for me so far.
7-5 for you. That is 8-4 for me. And that is also 8-4 for Jason too. So we are riding high into the final stretch of the season. The Jaguars play at the Tennessee Titans, which I don't know why they trying to shove the Titans into the final quarter of our schedule every year, but they just seem to be doing it. I'm just glad we're not playing in Tennessee the final week of the year because, those are hard games. At home against the Jets, at the Las Vegas Raiders against Minshew, and then at home again against the Tennessee Titans, and then finally finishing up at the Indianapolis Colts. So a lot of AFC South in this end of the schedule. These teams finished 42-43, 49.4% win percentage, and 0 playoff teams, even though, people are really, really high on the New York Jets. Man, it's I think the Jets will be good, but man, they're like people are projecting them number 1 seed. People are projecting like Super Bowl champions, and it's pretty bold talk for the team that currently has the longest playoff drought in the NFL. So with this part, we'll start with you, Jordan. How do you think the Jaguars finish in this stretch?
5-1.
There's 5 games here, Jordan.
4-1. Excuse me. 4-1.
All right,
11-6. So I think they're going to lose to the Titans on the road there, just because that's what they do. And then the Jets, I've fallen off the Jets bandwagon a little bit here. I just think the Hassan Reddick situation is troubling to me. They have a lot less defensive line depth than they had last year, and I think that was a major part of their success. Yes, they have good linebackers, good secondary pieces, but I still think the offensive line's a bit of a question. And I need to see Aaron Rodgers, play. Like, everybody's saying, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers is going to be fine coming off Achilles at over 40 years old." I need to see it. Mm-hmm. And last time we saw him, he wasn't really playing at the highest level. So I'm not in on the Jets right now. The Raiders, obviously, I'm not in on. Titans, you're taking care of them at home, and you're taking care of the Colts to end the season. 4-1, 11-6 overall.
All right, let's go to Jason. How are you feeling?
This is the stretch where it's going to be hard for me to predict, and for obvious reasons. This is the time of the year when teams are experiencing their largest sum of injuries. This is where, we don't know what teams are playing for. Like, could Vegas be tanking? The Colts were like what? Were the Colts a few minutes away from making the playoffs last year? So they're not a playoff team, but like they played like one last year. And the Titans are pretty revamped. So this is like where it's toughest for me. Could the Jags have locked up the AFC South and they don't play any of their starters against the Colts? Like, these are things that we don't know now, but I guess we're assuming that everyone's in, everyone's healthy. If you give me that, I'm going to say 3-2. And it's only because we do struggle at times with the Titans. So I think that's a loss there. And I just have like a weird feeling about the Colts and the Jets. I think the Jets will be good. I know Jordan had his reservations about Aaron Rodgers. I just like even with that defense, I feel like they're going to be in a lot of games. So I
agree. I'm just not picking them as a playoff team.
Right. And I get it. I think
they're going to be close.
I'm a pencil them in for 3-2, and for no specific reason by the opponent. I just have this gut feeling, and I'm old enough to know when you get a gut feeling, you got to stick with it.
All right. So I know I have the Jaguars going 4-1. I think that the Jaguars will drop one of these random AFC South games. I don't know, just because division games are weird, whether it's at Tennessee at home versus Tennessee or, at Indianapolis in week 18. Probably one of the Tennessee games, because if playing at Indy has any kind of like implications, it feels like, when the Jaguars need to clutch up against the Colts, they've usually been able to do it. And for whatever reason, just the matchup there. I mean, Trevor Lawrence plays so well against their defense. So I'll have the Jaguars going 4-1 in this stretch. So when you finalize things, Jordan has the Jaguars at 11-6. I had the Jaguars at 12-5, and Jason has the Jaguars at 11-6. So those are your completely unbiased Jaguars season predictions for you guys.
Hey, Jordan and me agreed on something. Look at that. Look, progress.
Look at us.
There's progress.
You guys should argue about the Jets again real quick. One of my friends like texted me. He goes, yo, like, I don't think like Jordan and Jason like each other. I'm like, yeah, they do. They're just going back and forth. That's how it is. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah.
I actually love Jordan, so that could be further from the truth. So
yeah.
So real quick, had a couple.
I have nothing but positive things to say about Jason.
Perfect.
Even if his football takes are wrong, it's okay.
So couple.
No, the funny thing, we usually agree on almost everything.
Yeah. Well, no, Jason, I appreciate Jason because Jason, it's not like he likes to stir the pot, but you gotta he's a devil's advocate, you know. You gotta have somebody that challenges opinions, and you know, if you just have a show where everybody's agreeing with everything, you know, I think even if you agree on something, I think it's always good to see like, however, what about if this happens and if that happens? So it's good to have kind of differing opinions on things. So real quick, before we get into the Jaguars Dolphins kind of preview, get through some final super chats. We have the Garth that says, I will say, if it goes bad this year, Doug is gone. Yeah, I mean, I think Doug's a season away from being on the hot seat. I mean, obviously, if we go 5-12, I think he's out of here, but I don't think that's realistic. If he gets like 8 wins, I think that, you know, he'll probably be back. But at that point, it's, you know, all right, time to you know, kind of put a playoff mandate on it. Taking as my world says 17-0 is a possibility if Trevor Lawrence goes MVP and our defense goes top 10. 17-0, I don't know, man.
No.
That's not this roster. I feel good about this team, but you know, note the Patriots went 17-0 and lost in the Super Bowl. It's just very, very like 1% of the 1% do that.
I mean, you couldn't tell me the Chiefs are going to go like nobody's going to go undefeated this year. If you want to make that bet every year, you would be a very rich man.
I think that was a tongue-in-cheek comment. I think it was tongue-in-cheek.
Let's hope so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tekken also says our defense is closely as talented as 2017. Don't forget. Yeah, it's unfortunately, you know, Tashawn Gibson won't be out here, so we don't have that piece of the 2017 defense, but it's all good. It's all good. So
hey, he'll be back.
So that's true. So I guess what is even the situation there? Because I know I said he got cut and people were like, oh no, like, you know,
he didn't.
So
he's suspended for the first 6 games. The Jaguars have to make a decision after that.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
So he's technically still on the team.
So guys, we are going to transition over to, I don't know where my, Chrome tab. Okay. So I'm trying to bring Bet US over here and okay. Let's see. Window, Chrome tab. There we go. Bet US. Okay. So we're gonna go look at the odds for this Sunday's game. You know, of course, guys, on Bet US, I mean, you can bet on every single week 1 game. You can literally bet on any game this season. I mean, it has, if you go over to the left and do the down arrow, I mean, there's lines all throughout, you know, week 18 and NFL futures. There's all different kinds of stuff you can put money on. But, you know, right now, guys, it's game week. Okay. It's game week. The Jaguars are playing the Miami Dolphins. The Jaguars are 3.5-point underdogs in this game. The over-under is set at 49. So it's interesting over-under there. So, you know, with this game, obviously it's week 1. We all know that a lot of people are kind of favoring the Dolphins this game, and even, you know, Bet US having the Jaguars as 3.5-point underdogs in this one. You know, I guess we'll start off with Jordan. Give us a quick little preview of this game, and you know, I guess when it comes to like the money line about, you know, 3.5, do the Jaguars cover? Do the Jaguars win outright? Let's hear your thoughts on this.
Wow. A quick little preview. How am I supposed to do that?
It doesn't need to be quick. You can take all the time in the world, Jordan. Okay. The floor is your. I'll even do this. Look.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
My head's too big for this box.
Okay, I'll put you out then. I just want to make you comfortable, Jordan.
So, Dolphins, speed. They get their running backs in space at an unbelievable rate. If Tua Tagovailoa is able to get the ball out of his hands quickly, it's very difficult to slow them down. Doug Peterson talked about Tua Tagovailoa's ability to anticipate and find the windows where his receivers are going to be in between coverage, and he does that extremely well. Josh Hines-Allen says, we know what we have to do. You have to make Tua hold on to the football a little bit. And I think he's absolutely right. How do you do that? You play physical with the receivers at the line of scrimmage. You saw the Kansas City Chiefs do that last year and incredibly well. L'Jarius Sneed absolutely pummeling Tyreek Hill into the ground. But it's much easier said than done. And then you also have to bring tendency breakers defensively. You have to disguise coverages. You have to move post-snap. You have to do all these things, and you have to stop the run. So very difficult to do defensively to stop the Miami Dolphins. It can be done. Most of the defenses that played against them last year that were worth anything did a pretty decent job overall at keeping them out of the end zone when you look at the scoreboard. And then offensively, who knows what the Dolphins are going to be doing on the defense side of the ball. But they have Calais Campbell, they have Jalen Ramsey, they have a new defensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver, coming over from the Baltimore Ravens. I think that they're going to try to be a varied defense, but again, I'm just not really sure. Obviously, no Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips coming off the Achilles. So I think it's going to be a very evenly matched game. Jaguars are -3.5 right now. I would take the Jaguars in that. I'm taking the Jaguars straight up. That might be a little biased. I don't think taking the Jaguars against the spread is biased. And I will take the over on, what is it, 49?
49. Yep. Yeah, 49 points.
Yeah.
All right.
Taking the over.
So you heard it.
I think it'll be in the mid-20s, but just a little bit higher than that, for mid-20s for both teams, just a little higher than 49.
Interesting. So yeah, Jordan has the Jaguars covering, winning outright, and hitting the over. So let's hear it from the gambling man, Jason.
All right.
Let's hear it, man. What's your take on this?
So I do like a lot of what Jordan said. I agree with almost all of it. Couple things, though, because this is week 1, I don't think you're going to see these offenses at their truest potential. If this game was like week 4 or on, I would hammer that over. But I think because it's week 1, I think you're going to see it be not as high scoring as a lot of people think. So I'm taking the under on the points, total points. And I'm not with Jordan. I'm not taking the Jags outright. I would take that 3.5 though. That hook. A lot of NFL games come down to 3 points. So I think if the Jags do lose, it could come down to a field goal. And a point that he passed by quickly that I think is very important is he said you got to be able to stop the run. When you look at what teams did well, I mean, if you look back at the Dolphins last year, week 18 between them and the Bills, that was for the division. Like that really was like a massive game. And the Dolphins offense, the only way they could move the ball was on the ground. I mean, A-Chain, he averaged like 8 yards a carry last year. And they do so much misdirection at the snap, and they put a guy in motion almost every single snap that I think it's going to put the Jags linebackers on their heels on which way the ball's going. And because of that, I really think the Jags are going to have to really concentrate on stopping the run. I mean, I think the Dolphins will run the ball until you stop it. And even when they do throw it, they've had a ton of success, which we know they've had. But there's times when Tua will underthrow the ball. Like he had a really bad underthrown ball in the Bills game that led to an interception. And like that can happen as fast as Tyreek Hill is. And he goes in these little pre-snap motions where he is actually running forward before the snap in the Canadian Football League looking type play. But they let him get away with it. And even if he can do that and Waddle can get past the corners, like I don't know if I trust Tua 100% of the time to make that throw. So the Jags got to really, what we call in coaching, read their keys. And even though you have motion going one way and a guard pulling one way, you have to like really find the ball, and you really got to figure out where they're going with the ball, because McDaniels is very tricky with where he goes with the ball. He's very intentional, and the Jags are going to have to stop the run. And I think because of that, I think the clock goes faster than you think. And I think this game hits the under, and give me Jags by 3, but not 3.5 if I'm gambling.
All right. So Jason has the Jaguars. You say you have the Jaguars winning
against spread,
or just against the spread?
I'm not taking the Jags 3.5. I'm taking the spread 3.5.
Gotcha.
I am.
Okay.
But I'm not taking the
3.5.
over.
Okay. So for myself, so with this preview here, I mean the Jaguars, they're gonna have to smack the Dolphins like in the mouth. Like we know what the Dolphins want to do. You know, they want to be able to just sit back there and kind of throw the ball up to, you know, Tyreek Hill, because he can beat you deep. You know, you can also have Jalen Waddle beat you deep. The Jaguars are going to need to out-physical this team. You know, they're going to need to be able to, first of all, stop the run. Like, they're going to need to stop the run without, I think, too much safety help. Like, the linebackers are going to really need to support them, because if all of a sudden A-Chain is running all over us and all of a sudden they bring down those safeties, and then all of a sudden that's not a good recipe, you know, for the Jaguars when they have a player like Tyreek Hill who can really beat you over the top. But, you know, right now the Dolphins, their trenches are not great. You know, they lost, you know, some offensive linemen in free agency. Most notably, they lost their guard over to the, you know, Carolina Panthers. And, you know, they don't really have like the star-studded defensive line, kind of like the Jaguars have right now. So the Jaguars this game, they need to be physical. I think that is the key here, is to be physical, stay disciplined, and, be able to affect Tua, because when you hit Tua, he kind of plays a little bit different. And, I think that the Jaguars need to come out there and, be ready, attack them. When it comes to, this line, I think that the Jaguars do cover, but I can't sit here and say right now that the Jaguars will beat the Dolphins. It's just I've said it a ton before, almost till you guys are probably tired of hearing me saying it, but I think drawing the Dolphins in week 1 is just kind of annoying, because they're a team that you'd rather play in December, because in September they're fresh, they're fast, and then Mike McDaniel's historically is just really good in this part of the season. So I think that the Jaguars do wind up losing in a shootout. I do have them to cover, and I'll have them going over and the over under. So with all that said, I will say, look, guys, if there's any kind of gambling advice, I know BetUS is the sponsor here, and look, we're going to be putting some money on every Jaguars game this year, but week 1, I usually stay away from gambling, okay? Because literally anything can happen. It's so hard to predict what happens in these games, and a lot of times it's good to stay away. But we're going to put $20 on the Jaguars anyway to cover, okay? And we'll see.
Yeah, there's going to be more unscouted looks this week, not just in Miami versus Jacksonville, but in this NFL week. It's going to be so many unscouted looks that teams are just not prepared for, and that can make things crazy. Once you get tape, you can start studying what teams are doing. Couple games into the season, it makes it a little bit more predictable, in my opinion. Week 1 is wild. It is wacky. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So
I think we should keep track of the bets and see who finishes the season with the most money.
That's true. Okay,
between the three of us.
Well, right now, I think we all. Well, yeah,
I'm taking the under. I'm taking the under.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep track of it. Okay, I'll keep track of it.
All right.
I'll put it in a PowerPoint, and we can.
And Jordan took Jags outright.
Yeah,
so
Jordan
he could win a lot of money here.
Yeah, that's true. Jordan's the only one that actually picked the Jaguars to win. And look, I actually picked the Jaguars to in the AFC South roundtable. I picked the Jaguars to lose, and all these Jaguar fans are like, "You got to get this guy off the Jaguars representing us." He's like, "Don't come back and celebrate, when the Jaguars win." I'm like, I'm just trying to give some objective takes here, okay?
How dare you? How dare you be honest?
How dare I be objective?
You're not drinking the Kool-Aid? Come on.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Jackson says I look sad. That's the second person to tell me today that I look sad.
Let's see.
What is going on
here? Oh, man, Jordan, you look sad. Smile.
Well, so since Jordan and me are best friends, we talk about our feelings all the time offline. So, we're good. We keep each other accountable, so we're good. We're good.
Okay, that's good.
So, honestly, though, I just think that Ryan Nielsen is going to be able – I think that McDaniel's an unbelievable offensive mind. I think that Tua is – somewhat limited at quarterback. I think Ryan Nielsen's going to be able to take advantage of those limitations that he has. And I think that the Jaguars offense is going to be able to do what they need to do against the Dolphins defense, which, by the way, something to monitor over the next couple of days. Jalen Ramsey did not participate in practice today due to a hamstring.
And isn't Jalen Waddle a little bit hobbled up too?
Undisclosed injury.
Yeah.
And Tyreek Hill has a thumb injury.
So what is undisclosed?
But these guys are participating in practice. So.
Does undisclosed, because don't you have to report what injuries are?
Now you do. You didn't in the preseason, but now you do. And neither of those guys are on the injury report.
Okay.
So Jordan, do you think the Jags are going to be able to stop the run? Now, you mentioned it. Do you think they're going to buckle down and be able to stop that run game?
Yeah. I think it's going to be a big job for, obviously, not as much the interior guys against the Miami Dolphins, but Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Eric Armstead if he's on the edge. The linebackers got to do a great job against the run, and the corners and safeties are going to have to do it as well. So, it's a full team effort because they get these guys out in space and they get blockers in front of them. You have to defeat blocks. You have to play discipline. Eye discipline with all the misdirection, all the shifts and motions at the line of scrimmage. It's tough, but I think Ryan Nielsen's going to have these guys prepared.
So your X factor is Ryan Nielsen, because these are the same linebackers that couldn't stop the run last year. So your X factor.
Yeah,
Ryan,
I don't think it's
team-
fair to say that about Foye and Devin. I think that interior defensive line was pitiful down the stretch.
No, we watched Devin Lloyd blow his gap assignments time and time again. We watched, and so
That happened way less often than people want to say. Like for me, the Devin Lloyd situation is kind of like when you look at an offensive lineman that gets beat once or twice every game and you say he's horrible, but really he, pitched 95% of his reps were pretty darn solid. That's how I feel about Devin Lloyd. And who knows if Devin Lloyd's even on the field? I don't know. But I feel confident that Devin Lloyd or Chad Muma and Foye Oluokun, combined with Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen trying to set the edge and also chase from behind, can get the job done. And I think Tyson Campbell is a tremendous run defending corner that doesn't get talked about enough. And Darby, from what we've seen, he will give effort. So I think the Jaguars, again, will be able to get it done. I have the over, so I don't think the Jaguars are just going to stone the Miami Dolphins offense. But I think that the Jaguars will be able to do enough to keep them into the mid-20s and get the dub.
And I think I have a lot more confidence that the Jaguars will be able to stop the run than that the Jaguars will actually be able to run the ball. I still until I actually see it, until I can actually see like ETN getting 4+ yards a pop, and we're actually opening up holes, and we can actually get 3rd and 1, be able to get 4th and inches. I had to actually see that. That's just my opinion on that.
Well, the good news is that
fair.
the interior Dolphins D line and their middle linebackers are probably the weak spot of their defense. So that we do have. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to do it, but at least we have that going for us.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely. Got a couple of super chats in here. The Garf says Ramsey is on the report hamstring. I think Jordan just checked the report. He's not on there, right?
No, Jalen Ramsey did not practice today with the hamstring.
Yeah.
I was saying Jalen Waddle's not on the report.
Okay.
Tyreek Hill's not on the report.
Okay. Also, Duval TV, what's up, man? He's got a good Madden Jaguars YouTube channel with a $10 donation. So thank you so much to him. He says, Jags take an early 14-point lead. Tua has to play catch up. Jags defense racks up 6 sacks week 1. Great show. Ramsey gets cooked by BTJ for a deep touchdown, or whatever corner wants that smoke. In my honest opinion, the Jaguars defense is a top 5 unit. Dude, we are Duval TV is sipping the training camp Kool-Aid, and I like
it. I hope so.
And luckily, man, I'm just so happy that we football's about to be here, so we can stop. I get so worn out on speculating. Now we actually see okay, talk is cheap now. Now let's actually go out there and put up them points and beat these opponents. And like Jordan was saying at the beginning, man, we have a lot of the next 5 days is just going to be filled with football from NFL. We got 4 days of NFL. We have a whole day of college football on Saturday. Some freaking awesome stuff ahead. And the NFL opener tomorrow night, the Chiefs against the Ravens. Man, it's a holiday. It's a holiday. It really is for me. So
yeah, at this time tomorrow, we will be watching some NFL regular season football.
Dude, I'm excited for it. And real quick, I do want to pump BetUS real quick because I forgot to tell you guys about promotion. 125% deposit bonus with my link down below. So if you guys are interested in any of these lines and want to take it on, that basically means that if you put $100 down, they're going to give you $225 to play with. They also have quick 24/7 customer support and 24-hour payouts as well. And they also have 10% gamblers insurance. So, if you're active, they're going to give you back some of your losses so you can continue to have a little bit of fun with it. But, we're going to go on to actually, we all have different picks, but we're going to be monitoring. Okay. We're going to see who is the most accurate amongst us. And, at the very end of the season, I guess we'll crown somebody. We'll see.
I have a question real quick.
All right, let's hear it.
Which winning teams did the Dolphins beat last year?
Well, I mean, a handful of their games. If you look late in this season, I got to pull up their schedule real quick. But
then that's cheating, right?
It's not cheating.
I don't know. Did they get a win against the Bills?
They lost to the Bills in the last game of the season, but
the Bills beat them both times.
They got swept though. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I know their whole thing was that they don't beat good teams.
I mean, I have it pulled up.
Did they beat any good teams? They beat any winning teams?
They beat Dallas.
I'm gonna say 0. They beat
Dallas.
Okay.
That's it.
That's insane.
Just saying. Who were their wins against? The Los Angeles Chargers, one of the top picks in the draft. New England Patriots, one of the top picks in the draft. Denver Broncos, one of the top picks in the draft. New York Giants, Carolina Panthers, two of the top picks in the draft. Patriots again, Las Vegas Raiders, New York Jets, who didn't have a quarterback, Washington Commanders, New York Jets again, and the Dallas Cowboys.
Can we get that schedule? Can we get that schedule? Like when you look at the Jaguar schedule, I really only see like two terrible teams. You know, I see the Patriots and probably the Vikings. You know, 2-1. You guys think they're going to be awful. So I see two really bad opponents on the Jaguars schedule.
I don't think the Vikings are going to be awful. I just think, Trevor versus Sam in Jacksonville.
I mean, you bring up a good point. But if you look at the points scored in these games, I mean, 70 on the Broncos.
That was one game.
70 points. They scored,
and these 31, are bad teams.
42 on the Panthers. Did we score 42 on the Panthers? No, we did not. We did not score 42.
Trevor Lawrence wasn't even playing in that
game. 31 on the Patriots.
Okay, look at the good defenses that they played last year.
He scored 34 on the Jets.
The Jets didn't have a quarterback, bro.
Yeah,
they
had a good defense,
the thing about the Jets defense gets worse as the season goes on because they kind of they're like, what are we playing for?
It was 45 on the Commanders. I mean, I know they got rid of those
horrible team.
I'm just saying,
horrible team.
I mean, but I mean, I get your point. But to play devil's advocate, every other team in the NFL plays these same teams and doesn't score 70 and 45 and 38.
You're right, but you're talking about take advantage of bad teams. I'm talking about playing against good teams. Those are two different situations.
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills, they couldn't score more than 20 points against them. 19 points against the Baltimore Ravens. Only 22 against Dallas, which won in the game. They only gave up 20. But look at 14 against the Kansas City Chiefs, 17 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Like when they played decent defenses that also had competent offenses, they did not do well.
Yeah.
And they got handed to them in the playoffs against the Chiefs.
That was a
cold
weather game.
I'm not saying that the Dolphins are as bad.
That was a cold weather game. We can't.
I'm not saying that the Dolphins are as bad as those games. I don't think they are. I still have the Dolphins as a playoff team this year. I think that they're going to improve. I'm just saying I don't think that this is the gimme that a lot of people think for the Dolphins.
Interesting stuff. So we'll just have to see. I'm really excited for it. I mean, I hope you guys are too. We'll go ahead and go around the table and kind of see what's going on each of our channels. We'll start with you, Jordan. What you got coming on JinJag? And you also have another YouTube channel, Rogue Football, right? So give us a little bit of tell us what's coming up on JinJag and tell us a little about your other channel.
Well, I have my X Factors for Ravens Chiefs over on Rogue Football. You can check that out. Basically, all the different facets of that game that I think could help determine the outcome. You can go check that out on Rogue Football, and I've got my prediction for who's going to win that game. Shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone who I have winning that football game. But on JinJag, we've got our full game preview coming tomorrow where I kind of break down everything from a bird's eye view, and then we will have keys to victory, matchups to watch, bold predictions, all that leading up to the week 1 opener against the Miami Dolphins. Can't wait for it.
All right, let's hear from you, Jason.
We do our live shows Tuesdays and Friday nights. This Friday, we're breaking down the Dolphins film from last year. So we'll try to back up what Jordan just said, and we'll see the validity of that. We'll take a look at the actual X's and O's and if there's any outliers that led to some of those games. But we'll be breaking down that film on Friday. And this Tuesday coming up, we'll be breaking down the game. So should be exciting. Should be good.
Yeah, all super fun stuff. I know for myself, I mean, I'll be doing the live reactions this Sunday. So hope to have you guys back for that. Overall, just really, really excited to just get this season going, and now this show can kind of turn into recapping and previewing and all the latest and greatest stuff. And hopefully a lot of W's in store for the Jaguars this season. That's what we're all hoping for. Real quick, got a shout out from Nagarf. He says Dolphins only beat Dallas because Dallas has some issue of beating good teams. So I guess they have the same issues, maybe. I'm
not saying, I'm just saying.
but yeah, guys, both Jordan's and Jason's channel links are down below. Definitely go subscribe to them because, guys, between the three of us, there's a lot of content and lots of just different types of content between each of us. So those are some great places to check us out. And also, guys, shout out to BetUS. Like I said, they're the sponsor of these streams. We are powered by BetUS. So go check down below for a 125% deposit bonus with that link. And with all that said, we will see you guys next week after hopefully the Jaguars go 1-0. Let's do it, man. Go Jags.
Go Jags.
Go Jags.